Alright, hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. And make sure you bury that there. Cat, he eats, and then he buries the rest for later. Okay, so what are we doing here? Well, I thought since we gave the player the ability to expand into real estate, let's take it to the next level. So there's two ways we can go at this point. We can either continue to have the player drive around and search for properties, or we can just we can emulate that with, making an interface and all that sort of stuff. So I thought maybe the better option would be to use the interface, and then what that does is that kind of draws the player back to the home. And then so inside the house here there's this computer, which is pretty sweet. So what we're gonna do inside the screen is where we're gonna start this from. So we're gonna insert object. We need a proximity prompt. We need a script so we can add code. Insert object, script. And then we just need a couple of other things. So let's see. We'll make an interface. Let's see what that could look like. There's a few elements that we need to make here, and then we need to combine them all together. So let's see if we can do this. So we'll go insert object, a screen GUI, and we're going to call this, let's see, like that, something like that. We'll call it something like that. Okay. And then of course we don't want the spaces. It's easier to do it without the spaces. It's just better in the formatting. Otherwise it'll put in those parentheses and stuff. Okay, now what we want to do, I want to insert object, a frame. This is going to be our master frame. Now, okay, there's a couple of ways we can go about doing this. So we can either create a new interface, or we can take the interface that we already have and we can expand on that. Now, the reason why I'm not doing that is eventually I want to make one master interface, which will be probably here, and it'll be a button. There'll be a button for your home, a button for the trucks, a button for whatever, and that way you just click on it and then it opens up a screen which gives you the options. So until I do that, first what I like to do is I like to design each element and then combine them together, and that way I know how much room I need and whatever. So it does get a little busy, but sometimes that's the way it's got to be. Okay, so then what we want to do, we want to insert, we need some buttons. So we just need a couple of buttons, like, let me see if I can, this would be our buy button. And then we'll duplicate that. And this one here could be red. And this could be our sell button. And then, I mean, like obviously they're ugly. I know that. They're not the greatest design, but I'll figure it out eventually, one of these days, how to make better videos. Oh, no, we don't want to do that. We want to change the text color. There we go. Just so you can see it, and then I'll go over it. I swear I'll go over it later. Let's see here. Okay, so this will be buy condo. Oh. No, cat attack. Buy condo, and this button here can be sell condo. Because there's going to be two types, right? There's going to be condos, and then there's going to be offices, but they're both basically going to be the same thing. So we'll just start with one, right? And then so the next thing that we need to do is we need to disable that. We need to say, okay, so what building are we going to use where you can buy your like cheap condo, right? So these, we could just take a building like this, okay, right? And then we'll take a print a screen of it, go to Photoshop, or in this case into just Paint, and paste it, and we're just going to crop the image right, like that. We're going to crop it, and then we're going to go File. We're going to go Save As. We're going to say JPEG, and we'll say, I don't know, let's see, game name, and then Homes. And it's cheap. We'll do that, okay? So then when you go into our game, we're going to enable that. What we also want to insert is a image label. Okay, and then the background image, or the image, we'll say add image, go choose file. And then you have to look for our broke down house. There it is right there. So we open that up, we say create. And now we have that image, okay? So you can buy this, you're not actually buying it in the game, you're just virtually, we're just using it as an image, right? So it's like, okay, you're shopping now, you're shopping for a condo. Well, this one here is cheap. And then so now what we need is we need to insert object, we need a text label. This one here is going to be the price. So we'll say unit price. All right, and then that can be like, I don't know, make that orange or something. It's awful. Awful. That's right. Okay, so make that orange, right? So that'll be the unit price. And then what else do we need here in this thing? Because what we're going to do is we're going to be referencing all these values with the script, right? And then let's see. Because each player, I wonder how you could do that. If you could do it like, yeah, I think rather than bidding against players, this is just another way of just kind of being in the game and playing the game. So this will just give rewards. It's just another way of gaining rewards, right? So you could also think of this type of setup as like a shop. You know, you talk to an NPC or whatever, and now you have a shop, and then we have the image of what we want to buy. This is the buy button. This is the sell button if we already have one, so on and so forth. And we're going to do all that in the code here. So this is the cost. So the label on that will be the cost. And then I'm just wondering, I think that's it really. Cost, and maybe you want an address, you know, wherever it is, right? No, there should be a button here. We're gonna add another button here. Let's duplicate this, and then what this is gonna do is this is gonna be we're gonna say this view property. So and then let's say view property. There we go. Because this type of building exists in the game, what we're going to do is we're going to set up so when you press the button, it'll close this window, and then the camera will be just another camera facing a building that looks like it, so that way you can see it. I think that would be cool. And then, you know, if there's any players in the background or whatever. So in order to do that, we need to set our main camera to scriptable is what we want to set that to. That's it. And then, so back to the interface. And I think I have code for all that. I'm pretty sure I do. I'll have to find it, but that'll be part 2. The viewing of this button here, because I don't have the code available. I should have got it, but I don't. Okay, so now what do we need? We need, that's pretty much it. So this could be considered a single frame, right? We could do that. Everything is going to stay fixed within this frame. Okay, so that would be like a single building. All right, and then what we can do is we can add another frame here. Insert object, a frame. And then in here, we can insert an object, and we'll say we want a scrolling frame. Well, actually, you know what? I could just insert the scrolling frame. Yeah, so we'll insert the scrolling frame here. Now, we'll call this cheap condo, just like that, and then we'll drag that into the scrolling frame. There we go. So now what we've basically done is we can now add additional frames to that, and if we want those to be like a list, we just go insert object, UI, and then we have a list layout or a table layout. Table layout is interesting. I like just doing it as the list. It seems to be the easiest for that. But everything inside this frame is going to stay where it is, even if you put it inside here. See, it doesn't change the aspect ratio. And even if you change this, it doesn't change the size of that. So now what we can do, so now we have a bigger frame, right? We can duplicate this. And instead of cheap condo, this could be like a medium condo. And then what we do is we just, same thing, take a picture of a, oh, what's going on? Was it auto saving? Did it crash? Oh, is it because I changed the camera? Yeah. Whoopsies. Alright, so we need a medium-sized condo block, let's say. Okay, and it could be something like this then, let's say. So we take a picture of this here. Same deal. Obviously, you're going to want to go through and take your time. It just, there's a lot to cram into a 1 hour video or even a series of videos. So what I do is I just do my best. I wing it. That's all you can do. Okay, so we print screen. We've got it. We go into paint here. We paste. We're going to crop the image. Just like that. Crop it. File. Save as. This will be in a JPEG. Medium. Champs. Medium condo, and I just put a bunch of numbers behind it. I don't know why, just so I don't accidentally save over it, and it's unique. Okay, so then we can go here. Now after this we need to add the value system. That's the next part. We need to add the value system, so we can enable this, and then we can go down to here and we can go into the image label, and we can say I don't want that image anymore, I want to change that image to something else. We can choose a file. And then, where's our brick building was there? It should be right next to it, actually. Yeah, right there. Create that. Yeah, okay. So then this button here would be by, no, would be by medium, no. Something to that effect. So then you get the idea there, right? So we need a couple of more variables and values. So, and I mean, this could be a little bit smaller, maybe. Maybe we change the color of the background instead of white. Maybe it's I'm not, you know what I mean? It's that color. It's that color. I don't know. It's a good thing I don't work in the printing industry, that's for sure. It could be that color, kind of, low class, I guess. This could be more, yeah, there we go. Right, just something like that, So now it's ugly, but it's not as ugly. But that way you can change the size of the image, and there isn't a huge, So then you add your buttons in, So, and then if you're worried about the way that they are in there, you can just drag them out. Okay, so which one do we want to go first? We'll put in the medium condo into there, and then the cheap condo. Oh, it did the same thing. Whoops. First the cheap condo, then the medium condo. Oh, it's whatever. That's the way it is. Oh, maybe we can change the way it fills. Yeah, fill direction vertical, left. We could make this center. There we go. And then item line alignment. I guess, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Just make it automatic. All right. Vertical alignment, top could be center. Fill direction vertical. I guess that's it. Okay, so whatever. That's how it is. So you might need a couple of scrolling frames. Maybe this one is your low cost. And then the other one is your medium cost. So now what we want to do, so if we want to have that, if we want to have those additional buttons, okay, let's, we would have to make this frame not visible, and we would need an additional frame. So we would say insert object frame, and this could be our master screen. There we go. So in here we would say insert object text button. This would be how we select our tabs. Oh boy, so we can say low cost. We'll just do low cost for now, and then that way it keeps everything really simple. Background color, there we go. Text scaled, like that, like that. Okay, so text on the button will be low cost, medium cost. Now, there's a lot of things that we can do here. So let's see, let's make it like this. No, let's not make it like this. Let's we would have 3 buttons down on the bottom. We want to insert object, a text label. We need a header, right? Which is like welcome to whatever. The header can be whatever the color is. Text can be white, and it can be scaled, and it can be like welcome to Alpha Real Estate. Whatever, right? Just something like that. And then, you know, maybe something else. Right? We can duplicate that. Your future. There we go. Your future. Oh wait, it's probably not even how you spell future. Oh boy. Okay, so now we're in here. We're in the frame. So then what we can do is we can either have insert object. We can have a local script that controls it from here, or we can have a control script that controls it internally. So what we need to do now is we just need to connect the buttons. So we can say local low cost equals script dot parent dot low cost script dot parent dot low cost. We can say local main equals script dot parent dot frame. That's the main frame, so that's just how we'll reference it, and so on and so forth. And then we just add variables: medium cost, high cost, whatever. So we will say main dot low cost dot mouse button 1 down, right? Connect function. What do we want it to do? We want it to say low cost dot visible equals true, and we'll say main dot visible equals false. We can do something like that. And then on this frame, not this one, on this frame here, we need to have a button to make it visible. Somewhere in here. So I would probably add outside of, let's see, I'll go insert object, text button. Oh, that's going to be inside the list, right? So either each element has to have a return button. We could do that actually. We could duplicate it here. We could do this. View property, this could be return. Let's see. Return to return to main screen. That works. And then we will copy that. We'll say paste into original location. There we go. And then we'll just code those buttons, right? So main.visible, low cost of visible equals true when we click on that. So then we want to say low cost dot cheap condo, and then this is where we need to code the buttons. So before we get into the coding of the buttons, where are we at here for time? 20 minutes. Okay, we've set up the basic of the interface. All right. So the next thing we need to do is we need the values. So we need to go back to our house, or back to the part where you can find it in here too. We don't have to sail over there. I just like to do this. I'm a visual kind of person. This is what I like about doing these kinds of videos, is I can build it and code it, and then we can run through it. So you're seeing everything. You're seeing the problem solving. You're seeing the thinking about. You're seeing the design. You're seeing all those elements together and how they work together. So hopefully it's kind of expanding your mind about what you think is possible and what can be possible. So we come back here to the monitor. All right, where we have the prompt and we have our script. Now we're going to rename this script to estate script. Okay, like this, estate script. And then that way, if we get any errors, so I'll just do one thing here. When you're looking at your game in the Creator Hub, it's important to go to error reports. Oh, there's no error reports in the last 7 days. There's got to be a couple. Yeah, there was a bunch, and then I fixed them all. So what it does is, let's see. All right, this one here, delete truck is not a valid member of frame. So it tells you what line and what script. So if you just say local script, you're never, ever, ever going to be able to find it. But it tells you where the error is and what line the error is. So then you can go into your game in Studio and you can open up the script. That's why it's important to name the scripts. Now, when I made Blue Truck and City, I didn't realize that, and I named it all script. So that's why I decided I was going to make a new game instead of trying editing it, because there's like 2,000 scripts in that game, and they're all named script. So in this game too, there's a lot already in this game that are just named script. So it's important to kind of think ahead, we're too far ahead now, but to be thinking about that, we're far too gone. But if you're just seeing this, that's just a tip for the future there. Okay, so we have our real estate script. So now we need a couple other things. So what do we need? We need a number value. All right, and this is going to be, we need a Boolean value. So I want the player to be able to access this interface, and of course it's going to be restricted to experience. It won't be restricted to level, but this one will be restricted to experience. And there's going to be a timer, but I'm not sure. Now that I made this, it's kind of funny because I had a plan, and then I didn't build anything. And now that I've built the interface, I've just completely changed, sort of in my mind, how I think all this could work. So we could set this up with a data save, and it could save these properties. So when the player joins the game again and they log in, they buy the house, because you have to buy the house every time. And then you sit down and it opens up this screen. You could either still have these properties and they'll be giving you money, or you just lose them and you have to purchase them. I think it would be neat to save it, and that way you don't have to buy them every time. So it's kind of like an investment. You're sort of investing in the game, right? And then, of course, and that's what I mean. That's why we're going to expand into the airport system and that sort of stuff. The higher level, higher tier, kind of whatever you want to call it there. Just kind of whatever. Yeah. So, what am I thinking here? We need to buy it, and we need to save the fact that we bought it. Okay, so this is where we need to build our value system. Now, this value system, like I say, could be anything. This could be you just finished a quest, and now you're able to open up a chest, and these are the objects that are in the chest, or whatever. In this case, it happens to be real estate, but it could be anything. So, let's see here. So when you save data on the Roblox server, it has to be numbers. It can't be Boolean values. It can't be names. It has to be numbers. So what we need to do is we need a number value, a special number value for every one of the virtual properties that we want the player to buy. Now, it doesn't matter where those properties are saved. We just need to be able to recall them. So there's a couple of ways that we can make this whole system work. We can go to our, let's get some music going. We're just going to get some coffee here. Get some music going here. Just give me a second. You're going to hear me make some coffee. All right. This is ugly. I gotta work on my color choices here. Green. Anyway, so this is what we got. Right. So we need custom values. So we'll go to the player added, and when the player joins the game, we are going to create some custom values. So let's say local, let's call this estates. Okay, equals instance.new, and it'll be a folder. So estates is going to be the name of the folder, and it's going to be estates.name. We'll call it alpha estate. So that's what we'll have to search on the player, alpha estate, and then we need to say estates dot parent equals player. Simple as that. So in the code, we're referencing it as estates. On the player, we're referencing it as alpha estate. Now, inside that folder, this is where we need to insert the values. So we need to say local, low cost, and then you have like A, B, C, and D if that's how you want to do it. In this case, we're only going to do the one value for now, but you can expand on this. Low cost equals, and we say instance.new, and then we want to add an integer value, and we want to say low cost dot name, and we're going to name it it could be low end, low end, medium end, whatever, and then we're going to say low cost dot parent equals estates. Right, so we're going to put it inside the estates folder. That's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. So then you can create any other folder you want. You can create any other integer you want. That's it. So we can just test what we just did there without having to test anything else. So let's disable all that. Let's just join the game and see if it created the folder alpha estates and if it gave us that value called low end. So we'll start with that. We'll start with that first off. Alright, so we look at the players, we look at ourselves, there it is, alpha estate, low end. So now we have a value that we can save on the Roblox server and that we can read when the player joins the game. So now we're able to save the fact that the player has pressed a button. That's how that works, and it can get very, very complicated depending on the system you're trying to design, right? So we try and make this as easy and as simple as we can. So, show and explore, what's this one here? This is the, right. Okay. So now that we have this value, what we want to do is we are going to set up a p-call for that value. So we'll copy this one here, data C. We'll copy that. We're going to do this, and we're going to say estates p-calls, and it'll have its own section. And this can be like estate low, right? And then estate low. Like that. Or does it have to be? And then we're going to need a variable for this. So let's see. This has to be here. There we go. Champs data, which is our data store, and we're going to say sync it to the player's user ID, and this is going to be low estate, just like that, champs, or whatever you want to say it. That's the value. So when we join the game, it's going to search this variable, and it's going to look for this user ID, and if it has the number that we set it to, we're gonna load it in, and it's gonna say you have the property or something along those lines. That we haven't gotten there yet. So the next thing that we want to do, now that we have that, the player joins the game, they have a folder, we have a way of verifying, it says leaderboard level, we'll say leaderboard estate loaded, and that way it'll tell us down here. The next thing we want to do is let's see. Probably carry on now. We can probably carry on now with this. So this, again, we need the name of the player. This all revolves around the name of the player. So let's start on that script. So the script that we're working on now is the one that's in the monitor. This one here, this is the one that's going to give us the interface. All right, so what we're going to say is, let's just tell it to wait a second, and we'll say button equals script dot parent dot proximity prompt button dot trigger ended connect function. And what do we want it to do here? Well, we need to know the name of the person. So let's insert a string value, and let's name that person. So the first thing we want to do, and we'll say player. Oh, and then we want to say local click equals false. If click is equal to false, then true if equals true. Then we just want to do that, and then we want to say else click. Holy cow! What is going on with my keyboard? Click equals false. Thank you very much, and I think we can get away with that. Yeah. Okay. So code here for true, code here for false. Okay, now what do we want it to do? So we want to say script.parent .person.value equals player.name. Okay, and now we can use that. Now we can search for that. What's the next thing that we need to do? The next thing that we need to do is we need to say local UI equals script. Let's see. Let's drag the interface in there. So we'll duplicate it, and then that way we can edit it and we can check it at the same time. Holy moly. Oh, keep going. There it is. Okay, so we're going to say script.parent .alpha real estate, and then we want to say UI alpha state, we'll say clone, and then we're going to say UI parent equals player GUI. I think we can just get away with that. So when it reads the values, yeah, that's what we're going to do. This is going to be interesting. Okay. So now it's cloned to the player, because we know who the player is because the player clicked on it. So now what can we do? So now we have this interface. Now what can we do? Finally, it's obviously enabled, so it works. And we're like, whoa, it's ugly. What's going on? Okay, so now we want to buy a condo. So now we need to script a button. So if we say low cost dot cheap condo dot buy, all right, buy dot mouse button one down, right, and then we want to say connect function. What do we want it to do? We want to say, what do we want this thing to do? We can't get the player from here, so we couldn't just search and say, or can we? Let me see. No, because it's gonna say, if I tell it to print, watch this. So I'll say print, okay, and then player. See that? It says, it'll say can't find name. What do you mean name? Right? We'll just try this. This is why when you are building user faces this way, if you don't bind them to the player, and then build a script which allows the player to throw functions to the server, you have to make them interact with something in the game space. So if we say buy condo, yeah, see, it gives me an error. It says we don't know the name of the player. So We could search. We could search. Now this is the problem that we're having, right? So we could search. Let's see. Oh, there we go. So far away. Okay, there's another way that we can do this. Let's see. If we go insert object, a string value here, all right, and then we name that person. Let's see if we can change that as well. Let's see if we can go script dot parent dot alpha real estate dot person dot value equals player dot name. Let's try that. Let's see if that works. Okay, so then what I need to do is disable this one here, because we're just testing the name. If that works, then we have the player's name who activated the prompt. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this prompt to the name of the player who owns the house. And that way, that's how you make sure that nobody else can come in here and interact with any of this stuff and be kind of like it's a public server. So we're trying to make it so each player has their own unique experience. And in order to do that, sometimes on a public server, you have to think a little differently about how, you know, there's a couple more steps involved. You need to get the player's name and you need to do this and that. So we sit down, we activate the prompt, which we can't see. Maybe I'll just drag this out of the house for now. Yeah. Because otherwise I'll end up running up here every single time. So we'll take this part. Whoa. Yeah, there we go. We'll take this part here. And we'll do that. And then we'll say requires line of sight. Boom. Now we can just look at it, grab it, and we'll, again, all we're testing is to see if we can get the player's name. If we can get the player's name, then we're able to do a little bit more. We're able to search we can then search the game, the workspace, for the player. And that's going to help because everything in the workspace is tracked by the player's name. So we interact, it doesn't do anything actually. Why not? Oh, this is probably not, it probably did work, but this is probably not enabled. Yeah, it probably did work. Where is it? The game is broken, doesn't want to work. No. There's a lot. What can I say? There's a lot. I swear there's a lot going on here. I gotta press buttons. I gotta think about stuff. Come on now. Okay. So there we go. Now we have it, right? And then if I buy condo, that isn't set up to the name. So, oh, geez, I left and I forgot to even check to see if I got the interface. It should have worked, but I guess I should check one more time. There's an easy way to check. Yeah, there's an easy way to check. Copy that. There we go. No, that's not going to work either. Oh my goodness. Sometimes I do these things where I I don't think ahead. I just stop thinking. Especially when I copy and paste, because I think I'm a genius because I can copy and paste. So now why isn't that going to work? It's not going to work because it's still going to say we don't know what the name of any player is, even though, because I have to reference this, the person, the value, and I have to tell it to print that value. So in the, let's get rid of both these local scripts. I know which one I'm working on. This one here. We should say print script dot parent dot person dot value. Can we do that? Prints all. Yeah, that's right. We can do this if we want to, and we can say interface. Let's put a space there. All right, so then when I press the button, it should say it's my interface if the value transfers through, and then we'll manually take a look here. So it's good to have more than just one check, I guess is what I'm getting at. I wanted to put a text label on there and just use the text label to reference the number. That's basically what we're doing here. And that's how you know that it's communicating and it's doing what we need it to do. So if we open that up and I press by condo, there we go, my player.name, and then if we check here, oh, it gave me two. Oh, because I have the other one. Yeah, so there's my name there, and this one doesn't have it. Perfect. So there we go. So that worked. Okay, so now we're getting ahead here. Because we need to store the number that this purchase is on the player, and the only way to do that is to be able to search the player, right? But if I don't know the name of the player and I can't get it, because remember what I was saying with the screen interfaces, all right, if you click here, all it's going to give you is the pixel coordinates of where you clicked. It's not going to, even on the text button, it's not going to say, oh, there's the player. So you have to think a different way about how you can get the name of the player. And I learned that just using the surface interfaces there. So now that we can get the name of the player and we're able to transfer that name to the interface, now we're also able to, I think we can save these values actually from the interface, and we don't have to store all these values on here. I don't think we need to worry about these ones now actually, because in the code we can set it up so that way we already get the name of the player that owns the house through this button here. So when you set up the game, you want to make sure that you have a value in here of the player, so that way when they activate the prompt, if it's not that person, right, wherever that value wound up, right there, right? So there's the value there. So we can reference, I could have just referenced that value. But so when you okay, so let's look at it like this. Let's look at it like this. Let's take the estate script and let's just say before it does anything, we can say if player is player is equal to script, let's see, dot parent dot door dot value, then, and it's going to do all of that, else we'll say print, let's see, print not yours. Okay, we can't do that. Print wrong house. Now it should. Ryong House. Okay, so it should do that. And now, well, let's give us the ability to enter the house. We'll just move that out of the way. Have another sip of my coffee. We're almost there. I promise we're almost there. Next, part 2 will be adding the values. So basically now all we need to do is that when you press the purchase home button, it just has to put a number value on the player. So that's all it's going to do. It's going to change. It's going to change this number value in real estate, low end, to a certain code. And then we're going to save that code. And then the next time you log into the game and you open up the interface, it's going to read that code. It's going to say, oh, you already own this property, and you're automatically going to be getting experience in cash from that property. I don't know how we're going to do the collection system just yet, because obviously we haven't designed that part of it yet. There, you see? Wrong house. Look at that. Look at that. So then I thought I had to run upstairs, so I moved that. Then if you come over here and you activate it, and you come back, oh, is it wrong house? Oh, because what? Uh-oh. Oh, was it not that easy? Come on. That's my home. How did I write this script? Oh, if player. Of course. Player.name. Player.name. See, there were no errors, but it didn't work. It was just a simple .name that was missing. All right, where are we at? Where are we at here? Where are we at? An hour? I really hope you're enjoying these videos. I promise it takes a lot longer than an hour to do the setup. Like, there's probably 3 or 4 or 5 hours sometimes of playing around and figuring out before I can just sit down and do a 1-hour video. And even then, you know, with all the problems and the underthinking I do. Okay, so if we finally change this, now it should, yeah, there we go. Whoa, return to main screen. It's not in yet. You say buy condo. No, it's not my interface. We want to buy it. Perfect. Okay, so we can actually, I think we can do this here. I think we can do it. Okay, so I don't know if we're able to connect to the data store service. That's going to be the interesting thing. So, hey, that is going to be the interesting thing about this. I don't think this is going to work, to be honest. No, I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to insert a remote event, just like we do with everything else. And we'll have to call this functions. And then in here, we need to insert object. We need an object value. And we need to call this homes. And then we need to say local homes equals script parent dot homes dot value. And then in the estate script here, it'll give us the interface. But then we also need to say oh, which way do we need to go? When there's one way we need to go. Do I have another? Yeah, I can do this here actually. Trailer.value has to equal the remote function. So we need to say script, and we need to say UI dot trailer. Where is it here? UI script apparent alpha real estate. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing here. Script.parent.alpha real estate. Yeah, dot homes. Dot value equals functions. Equals script.parent dot functions. Now I don't think there's a value there. No, there isn't. We just have to say that. Okay, so now what we've done is we've bound this. So instead of needing this person value here, we can get rid of that. Yeah, we don't even need this anymore. Actually, I don't think we need this anymore either. No, because we already are storing the name of the player in the front door. So I apologize for that, having to get rid of all that code. So that gives us the interface. Now here is where we need to store the rest of the value. Yeah, so we need to insert object. We need to insert an int value. All right, and we need to call this low cost. So here's where we can determine how many houses the player is going to have. And for every house, we need to add an integer value that we're going to set. Okay? So in our local script, when we press buy cheap condo, it is going to say homes, and we're going to say fire server, and we're going to say buy cheap. Okay, and then we're going to, in our interface, no, in our estate script, no, we'll have to create a second script for this one here. And we're going to have some more functions for when it's false. So let's see, insert object, another script, we're going to call this just functions. All right, and then we want to say wait. This is kind of turning into a long one. I'm going to end this one really quickly here because I don't want it to be too long. Okay, so then we're going to say local, we need to reference the remote event. We need to say event equals script parent functions, and then we need to say event dot on server event. Okay, connect function. This is the only way we're going to allow the player to cast value to the server. That's it. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Then we just say if variable is equal to, and then we need the variable that we're going to throw, buy cheap. Then, what do we want it to do? We want to say, oh yeah, and then we need the player and variable. All right, and then here we don't actually need anything in here because it's already connected. Okay, so buy cheap, then we want to say script dot parent, okay, dot low cost dot value equals, and then we want to give it a value. 1584, let's say. Okay, so we kind of need to do a couple of things here. So we fire the variable, it changes the first time it changes the value to that. All right, so we need to say if script parent dot low cost dot value is equal to 1584 then, and I say equal to, but in this case I'm gonna have to say equal to or greater than. Can we do that? Can we say equal to or greater than? We just say greater than. And that's because while I'm testing it, I might press the button a couple of times and it'll add this value every single time. So while I'm testing it, it just guarantees. Otherwise, what you have to do is you have to go through where the players added and you have to change the variable. So I just don't want to do that yet. I don't want to change the variables just yet because I have published the game and people, you know, I don't want them to lose their progress. So that's my fault, definitely my fault. So what we need to do now is it fires that, it goes to the functions, it sets that value. So it says if it has that value, oh no, if the value is greater than 0, then do this function. We can say else, and then we can even just say this here is greater than 1584 then, and that way it's kind of like, it'll do two things, right? It'll do one thing if we fire it. Oh, do I need an end here as well? I do, okay. I need an end unless I say else if, perhaps. So we're gonna just try this out. So it's gonna, if the value is less than that, it's gonna set the value to that. If the value is greater, and I'll just change this a little bit, just in case. What do we want to do? Let's say print has value. Just like that, we can do that. Just, and then all we're doing is just making sure that it goes through. And then if it has the value, we'll do that first, then we'll connect it to the data store. So you can't connect a user interface to the data store. It just doesn't work. It has to be a server script. So this is why sometimes when you're coding and you're wondering, why am I doing it this way? This is why I have to do it this way. The only way to cast value to the server from the player is to bind an interface and bind a object value to a remote function. So we interact with it. Oh, wrong house. Oops. And then if we say by person, oh no, what did I do here? Gave me that error. Yeah, line 16. That should work now. Yeah, and sometimes when I do these videos and I get into it, I don't really know how long they're going to take or where they're going to go. So I know this one's a little bit longer. I thank you all for watching. I do appreciate it. It's a little bit longer than usual, just because of the problems and the direction, but we're pretty well right to the end here of the first part. There we go. Wrong house. At least that's working. So let's change the value. We should get it now. Press the button, then when we press buy condo, not doing anything. Why? Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, because it was going to set the value to that. And then if the value is lower than that, it should have printed it. But I don't know why it didn't. Probably a bad way of doing this example, actually, is probably what it is. So in the local script, cheap, it's buy, right? Low cost, that cheap condo, buy, that mouse button one down, yeah, fire server, buy cheap, go to our function, buy cheap, if it's less than 0, set it to there, else, if it's greater than 0, I'm wondering if this has to be like this, probably has to be else if, and then I probably have to get rid of that. I betcha that's the problem with this type of when you're using the variable. Let's see. Because it should set the value the first time, and then it should read it and go, okay, the number is greater, print the text. Every time you click the button, it should just print the text. Oh, wrong house. Every time, like the little hamster. Give me my food. I don't want to run the obstacle course again. Just give me the food. Okay, so we say buy condo. So then if we look at workspace, the house. Holy word, could it be even? No. No idea. Second floor maybe? No. It's not the gaming chair. Oh, it's the PC. Is it there? Oh, yes. Okay. So that value is 0. That's the value that should change, right? Script the printer low cost. No, that's not going to work. The way I've written that is not going to work. Even though it has no errors, that code is not going to work. That's stupid. When you press the button, it sets the value. Simple as that. That's what we do. None of this else, blah, 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 blah. None of this else. Equals, we'll say 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. Perfect. All right. So, because let's get the data store connected here real quick so we can just get that in here. Player added. So we need our data store, which is this code here. We need to put that into the functions. Okay. No, not into the function script. Oh yeah. Into the function script. Then what we need to do is we need this pcall function. We need to go into our function script and we want to add this function to this variable. And then we want to say, oh, is that? Oh yeah, see level 8. I don't know why that's, where that came from. Not level A. That would be low cost dot value. There we go. Low cost. And it's going to say, well, where is low cost? Well, low cost is going to be on. wonder if we can get the player from here, through the variable. It doesn't matter actually, because we have, where's the script? We can say, script.parent, where's this, the functions, right? Script.parent.lowcost, yeah, script.parent.lowcost.value. So what it's going to do is set this value to that, and then it's going to save on the server that we set the value to that number. So then what we have to do is, when we activate the prompt to get the interface, we also have to connect to the data store. But in this case, we're going to do what we do when the player is added to the game. So instead of saying set async to save it, we're going to say get async to load the value, right? So we need that, and then we need this here, and we need to say save this value, and it's going to save it. And then here we're going to say load this value. Okay, we are going to say get async, which is this function here. And we need to say what exactly? When you press it, it's going to get that value. We don't even have to do the check on this actually, because that, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even know why we need this value here. Actually, let's just get rid of this value, this low cost value. I'm throwing this way in the wrong direction. This value here needs to be on the player. So we need to say local players equals, let me say script.parent.parent.parent. Is it .door? No. Parent.parent.door.value. That's what we need there. Perfect. Then we say like that. Where is it going to set it? It's going to set it on the player. And why is that important? Well, because that's where we want the value to be saved. And that way when the player loads into the game, it's going to load that value. Otherwise, we're trying to save it here in the workspace, which doesn't make any sense. So that's, I'm sorry I was leading you guys astray on that. So then when we activate the prompt, we don't actually need to connect this to the data store at all. The only thing that needs to be connected to the data store is when you enter the game and when you make the purchase. That's it. Okay, so now we're going to make the purchase. It's going to change that value. Well, what is it going to change that value to? It is going to change that value to script.parent.lowcost.value. So if we go insert object, well, my apologies, let's insert that back. Let's make that low cost. Oops. Or, no, let's delete that. What's going on here? Let's delete that and let's reference the player dot value dot low cost dot value. Player name dot oh boy dot alpha estate. Make sure I got that. So this is the name of the player. This is using the name of the player to then find the value that we want to save on the player. And then this is, if the transaction succeeds, save that value. And then when the player loads, we're going to load that value. Perfect. So that's how that's going to work. Whew. Okay. Where are we at here? An hour 15. Let's do one more thing, and then that's going to end the video here. So the last thing we need to do is we need to take that value and we need to cast it to here so we can then use it to limit what else we can buy. So let's insert an object. We're going to insert an integer value. We're going to call this low cost. Okay, low cost. Now, when we press on the button, we're going to go script dot parent dot low cost dot value equals player dot there we go, player dot alpha state dot low cost dot value. That's it. Perfect. So when we click on the prompt, it should find that value and it should turn that value into that value. And if we don't have it, it won't do anything, and then it should save when we have it. So let's see if that's going to work. So as you can see, it could be kind of complicated, and there could be a lot to think about and a lot to try and explain. But I hope that you're seeing the code, you're seeing the building, you're seeing all the elements, what happens when you click on the button, and hopefully you're able to take from that and learn. So we come over here. Yeah, see leaderboard, estates loaded. There's no number in there yet. So we do that. We bring that up. Oh, it gave me an error. Oh, it's not low cost dot value. Oh, it's low end. Low end. Oops. Low end. Ah, low end. So then, is that going to change? I don't think it changes that. I don't think it changes that. It does this, however. There we go. All right, let's try this one more time. Yeah, and then of course there's another 2 or 3 or 4 hours of cleaning it up, making it look good. There we go. States. Okay, so now we gotta go and push the button. Wait, you spawned in the game. There we go. Okay, so we buy this one. Oh, there was an error with your data. Workspace, attempt to conjugate nil with string. What's up, buddy? Oh, it's probably this. Remember, you couldn't use that with the P call? We had to do something different, right? We had to do something different. that one. Maybe it was this one here. Oh yeah, find first child. That's what we have to do with the code. Okay, so instead of just referencing it like that, we have to use a local, and we have to say local name equals the name that we want. Okay, so where are we? Where do we do all of that from? Is that in the function script where we got that error? No, that was when we pressed the button, right? It tried to throw this here. Script apparently. So what we need to do is we need to say players. So we need to say game dot workspace. See how we have players here as that value? So we need to say find first child. And then we need to say players. Like that. Now, I'm pretty sure that's what we have to do for this one as well. Let's try it out. And I think we have to do it for this one also. Like that. Give it a save. We've done a bunch of things. We haven't saved it. So there you see we built a few things. We coded a few things. We're now testing a few things. This could be anything. This could be, like I say, a rock with a prompt on it. And you open up the prompt, like, holy, there's supplies inside this rock. And then they click on it. You know, so like what you would do is when you click on the buy button, for example, instead of in your functions there, you'll say, you tell it to clone and then find a folder, find the part and have it clone it to the player, like a piece of meat or something. You can clone to their backpack, anything like that. If it was a store, if you buy it, then it clones the whatever. This is just complicated because I'm trying to save the values and I'm trying to load the values when the player joins. So you have to do a little bit more thinking and a little bit more. There was an error with your user ID is not a valid member of. All right, I'll look and see how I did it in the other one. That's where we're at. We're getting the user ID from the player. Because I just had to do this with the other one, so that's why I'm confident that we're able to resolve this real quickly. Whatever. What is real quickly? I don't even know anymore. Okay. This block here, this script here, where it saves. Yeah. Game.players. Game.players. Ah, I said game.workspace. Game.players. Ah, yes. So we should say game.players. Find first child. There we go. There we go. Game.players. Because that's where we know to search for the value. Now, do I need to change that? That was the function script. Player, no, because we're already getting the player from there, so I should be able to directly do that. Let's try that now. Where are we at here? Holy moly, an hour and a half. Hour and a half. Woo. I can do this all day, all night. Not really. This is the longer one than usual, and it's only a part 1. Part 2 and part 3 will be a lot shorter. But this, I just kind of trying to, there's a lot to introduce, right? And I don't want to kind of break it up. I feel like if it's all in one video and you're able to search through the video, because I'm not smart enough to break it up into elements and stuff when I do these videos, I record it and then here you go. I don't timestamp it, right? I I don't know. I don't think I could. No. It's a thing. I'm just sitting here playing around. Hey, let's record a video. Oh, look, it's an hour and a half. I should have done a live stream or something. Okay, so here we are. We're doing this. We've got this going on. Okay, we say buy condo. There we go. Now it loaded. So it said value. It just said loaded. So now if we look at the player and we look at the alpha estates, the value is 0. Now what is that? Line 20. The value of string cannot be converted to a number. Low end dot value should be an integer value. Value of string cannot be converted into a number. Oh, because I have to give it a value. I have to give it a value, right? What's the value that I want to give it? So we need to say, oh, whoops, any testing. I need to change that. Okay. Cool, so it went through, but it's like, we can't save it because you didn't tell us what number to save. So we just need to pick a number now. So we need to say, game dot players, and then we need to say find first child. We need this, and then we need to actually give it a value, which we haven't actually done yet. Okay, dot value equals what? 710, just like that. Now that's the value that we're going to use for this low end property, 710. So now all we're trying to do is we're trying to chase now. We've built it. It's got bugs in it. Nothing's fully connected. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to chase through or force through a function from start to finish now. Once we can force through a single function from start to finish, we know where and how to expand our code so we can add additional functions to perform the same thing. All right, so if I say buy condo, line 21. Value of string cannot be converted to a number. Is it this? Value of string cannot be converted into a number. I wonder if that needs to be a local as well. Let me check. Let's check. Yeah, it does. It needs to be a local in here. We need to have, what is it there? We need to have a if success. So you see here how we have it, data, success, error message. And then we have if success, and then we have the value. Then we say data is the value. So that's what we need to do here. If success, see we have the value. We need to switch that around. I don't know why, but that's how it wants it. It wants this to be a state low, whatever your variable is, equals the game, equals the value. And then what we need to do is we also need a local. Oh, that's not going to work because I double referenced the value there. Oh. Well. Oh, I see. Take it off of here. Yeah, it needs to be able to search. So what we do is if we want that to be the value, then what we need to say is local what? Oh, experience. We just need to reference it. Local value equals copy that, paste that there, and then we say values.value. Just like that. That should hopefully solve that problem. Now you're gonna say, how do you know all those things? Well, as you're watching, that's how I figured it out. I just played with it. And then sometimes this is what I like about grabbing stuff from the toolbox, is sometimes it'll have code in it, and you can look at the code, and you'll see functions in it. The A chassis has a lot of functions in it. You can check it out and try and learn what those functions do and how they operate. That's it. I haven't read a manual. I could probably buy a Lua manual, I suppose. But to me, it's kind of meaningless if I'm not able to play with it and use it. I could read the functions and go, okay, if I type this out, it's that function. But until I apply it, I don't know. Oh, now what's the error? Oh, I meant value. This is it. As soon as this function goes through, this is going to be the end of this one. Now we're almost at an hour and a half. As soon as this function goes through. Yeah, see, I went value, and then we don't want to do that because it's saying value.value. So it's like, I'm searching the value, and I have it. But then you want me to search for another value which isn't there. Yeah, you searched for 3 values. Value. This is it. You're watching it. This is programming. This is data engineering. Whatever you want to call it. This is what we're doing. The functions exist, but what we're doing doesn't exist. We have to create it. So we have to think. We have to design it nice and ugly. All right, so now we got this thing. Then if I do that, oh, look at that. I didn't even get an error that time. So then if we go into players and we go here, yeah, we have that value. And then if I leave the game, it should say saved instead of leaderboard state saved. It should say leaderboard saved instead of loaded. Okay, then we play the game again. Cat's going crazy. That's how you know it's been too long. Cat's going crazy. Hey, what? Lazy. He didn't want to chase no mice. Now it's like, are you sitting down? Okay. So then if we load in, we look here, we look here, we look here. There's our value. So in part 2, we're going to take that value and we're going to use it to lock the buy button on the screen. So when you already have it, you can't buy it again. You have it until you sell it. And I think that's a great feature. And that way you always come into the game and you always have it because it's always saved. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. And I will see you all in the next one.